This week, we have highlighted stories that raise awareness to important issues surrounding mental health. Enjoy the Podcast is a riveting podcast that highlights important men's topics from relationships, relationship triggers, trauma, therapy, and the list goes on. Joining me now to discuss some of these topics are the creators of Enjoy the Podcast, Jared Brady, JD, and Los Eckert. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
What's going on? Good morning. How you doing?
Oh, I'm not too bad. Thanks for asking. So, Jared, let's start us off by explaining why you decided to create this podcast and why you guys decided to surround it by so many topics relating to mental health.
You know, what's interesting is I always had this vision of having open dialogue with friends, and these are two of my friends. And so it actually just started out just for fun and therapy for us. But people ended up starting to like it. So we just kept going, and it feels good to get a lot of these things out.
So this podcast obviously contains so many elements with serious topics as well as lighthearted moments. So JD, in many of the episodes, you have all mentioned therapy and its importance. Why?
Yeah, I think it's just an overall goal of ours to make therapy cool, to make it accepted, to make it more of a common theme. I mean, we all go through things, but it's one of those things where no one wants to talk about it until they hear someone else talking about it first. So I think for us to be advocates of therapy and just overall becoming the best versions of yourself, we stand strong in that.
Well, clearly you all are quite self-aware. So when you're discussing traumas and the ways you have processed them, Los, comparing to your younger self, would you have been able to share your life experiences and feelings on a podcast back then?
Ooh, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now, this is years of, self-development, self-growth, and just encouragement from my friends here. So, yeah, no, when I was, 10 years ago, there's no way I would have been doing this.
Well, Jared, do you believe men in society have felt that they were not able to dive deep and show weakness? And how is your podcast helping to curb that narrative?
You know, what's interesting is that I feel like men, we dive deep in different ways other than explicitly talking about our trauma. Yeah. We kind of relate in other aspects. I think the talking about it is the new part. But I think most men will find that it's actually easier than they think, and they do it in other ways. So it's hard for me to say, because growing up, I always had this weird in touch feelings with my emotions. My dad would always ask me growing up, what are you feeling? How is it going? How was your day? So I think it kind of comes second nature for me. And so I think it's easier than they think, per se.
Of course. So at first, I thought this podcast would not pertain to women, but you actually give great advice to women. So if someone hasn't seen your podcast before, JD, what would you want them to know about it?
Yeah, we are going to give you the male perspective on a lot of different things. Obviously, we talk about what goes on in the male mindset, not just internally, but also in relationships. I think there's a huge need for women to really, truly know how we feel and how what we go through and ups and downs. And we are human. We are able to be vulnerable. And we're just going to shoot you straight a lot of times. But, the hard truth is still the truth.
Of course. So I know you guys have mentioned wanting your own show. So until you get your own show, Los, where should viewers go to watch your episodes?
Okay, so we're on YouTube. We release our episodes on YouTube every Wednesday. Monday, we are on all your streaming platforms if you want to just catch the audio first. And yeah.
Enjoy the podcast for sure on all across every platform. You can find it on YouTube, Enjoy the Podcast. You can find it on Instagram, Enjoy the Podcast Official, which is new. We just started that yesterday. Or you can find all of us on Instagram as well. Blame Los, Mr. JD, or Mr. Just Davis, and then Enjoy Jared Brady. So
Perfect.
Yeah, find us out there. We'll talk.
Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure to meet you guys. I've truly enjoyed watching your content, and I'm sure many of our viewers will as well. If you are interested, make sure you head over to their social media platforms and watch all the episodes there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us.